Right, so an update video on Project Apollo. Now, I want to take you through something, the reason why you should always fully strip these bikes and inspect everything. I had seen this kind of in advance, but I wanted to make absolutely sure I was right before I put this out on the interwebs. So, now if you have a look here, just here, can you see that marking just on the side of the tyre? When I first got this bike, this tyre was all covered in mud. So this wasn't actually visible, this groove here. So bearing in mind that the bike was hit on this side here, and you've seen the broken foot peg that I've taken off and I'm reshaping, and I'll show you that in due course when I've got it fully straightened. This box here, I'm going to replace it. There's too many cracks and bangs, and yeah, I could get the plastic welder on it, but compared to getting a piece of junk into the engine for the sake of whatever the thing costs, I don't think it's worth sending those things over, because it's held on by zip ties. There's more than one broken thread. I'm just not that enthused about trying to repair it. So let me show you what I found on the bike. So now you can see pretty obviously where the tyre damage is and where the tyre damage has come from. So I was considering replacing these struts just simply through corrosion anyway. However, this one has to be bent. You can see, you can't really see, I can't really sort of zoom in and show the difference here, but you can see the difference between the way that this spring sits here and how it sits on the other side, that there is a kink. And I'm going to guess it's probably in the, because it's only a very, if I just move this up slightly, it's only a very thin piece of metal here, isn't it? So I'm going to suggest that when the bike hit the side, that this was probably whacked by this, and it's bent this here somewhere. So this is another reason why you'll find that bikes of a low retail value, even sometimes with ridiculously small amount of damage. I mean, those of you that have been watching my videos from the beginning will remember the black moped, and it looks absolutely perfect. I mean, there was very little wrong with it. However, it did need quite a lot of repair work underneath, because what had happened was the bolts in the centre stand had loosened themselves. No one had checked it because it had done such low mileage. They had undone themselves, because the way these things, if you think about it like on a bicycle, which is probably where I think, if you look at the pedals, for example, on a bicycle, you have a left-hand thread on one side and a right-hand thread on the other side, and that is designed to prevent the bolts unthreading through time, because both of the bolts on the centre stand on that bike were clockwise bolts. One side undid itself, so it has to be checked. But when it came undone, because that hit the deck, it then bent the mountings, and the mountings are bent. So what does an assessor say when they see a bent mounting? Can it be bent back into shape? Does it need welding? You can't buy the bits, so it need a fabricator, and you're looking at something, hundreds of pounds of work on a £1,000 bicycle, or motorbike, which is just not practical or sensible for the insurance companies. And this is another case in point. This when you add all these little bits up, mainly for this bike, it's probably the passenger foot peg being bent that was probably the nail in the coffin, because it was sort of superficial damage on the frame that needed welding. And when you added all the bits up, it just physically wasn't economically viable for them to put it back on the road. But for me, it is, because I'm just buying bits, making little videos, and enjoying myself. And also, I think I might possibly even keep this one, but you never know. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I managed to get a good camera view on the good rear shock, and you can see just visually that this one is much straighter than the other side, and the spring is sitting correctly. Although, it's a fairly unpleasant piece of surface corrosion there. It's all cosmetic. There's nothing particularly challenging about that will affect the function of it. But I want it to look nice. So For example, this piece here, I'm going to replace. I've got the replacement for that already. These bolts aren't actually available through the through Lexmoto, so I'm just going to find some dome nuts, chrome dome nuts that fit threads. Very straightforward. That's all they are. So we'll get some of those and put those on, and it just adds to the pleasant visual aesthetic of the bike, because you've got to like what you have, haven't you? I think I'll do the front fork next. Yeah, front fork next, because the yokes are all bent, and that will mean once I take the front fork off, I can then redo the fresh hoses for the brakes. So I can do all that in one go, put the thing back together again, and then have one part of the bike buttoned off and finished, and then we can progress back. So yeah, we'll do it that way. We'll be sensible and work our way from front to rear like the original plan. But yeah, so it just goes to show, if you are doing these salvage bikes, take the time, don't do the minimum, check everything, because you don't know if the previous you can't speak to the previous owner, you can't judge if there's a service record, if the bike's been maintained, unless you're really lucky and the book happens to be left with the bike. If there's no digital service record, I couldn't find one for this bike, then that's it. There's no service history, so you just don't know. And you have to look after yourself ultimately. So bit of a cautionary tale, this one, but hopefully it's been of some interest. And if it has been of interest, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me I'm a genius. Well, no one should tell me I'm a genius, because I'm not. But there we go. Right, see you in the next one. Bye for now.